everybody, and welcome to the Game Changer Show. Super excited to be here, of course. I haven't been on here. I haven't actually done a live show probably in the best part of 2 or 3 weeks. And I'll tell you why. You've probably seen that anyway, but I just finished a massive competition off, which was Adventure Race course, which was just last week. And so all of my focus and energy was really about getting that done. But now I'm back in the game. So that's good news, right? I'm back up for breath. I'm here with you guys. I'm present. I'm here to give you some great content. So that's what I'm here to do today. So whenever you're listening to this, I always start the show off by saying to you guys, if you are listening to me live, use the hashtag live. And if you're listening to the replay, use the hashtag replay. Of course, you can do that here. And if you have any questions or comments, please do me a favor, like, share, or comment in the comment section below. If you're listening to me, we are actually streaming through Facebook, YouTube, and on LinkedIn, of course. If you're following me over YouTube or on LinkedIn, subscribe, follow me over there, and make sure you press that bell notification, which is in the top right-hand corner of my profile. And that way you won't miss out on any great content and any events that we're running and things like that. So, but anyway, that is the formality out the way. And, it's been a really interesting last few weeks for me. But today's call is all about how to overcome the fear of letting go. So where did this came from? And I'm going to tell you where it stemmed from, because it's really interesting over the last I'd say the last 6 weeks or so in particular, where I've had conversations with business owners specifically that have got a great business model, right? For whatever reason. It could be they're a tax advisor, they're an accountant, they are an architect, right? And they've got a great little business model. And I found that most of the people that I am having conversations with, not only are they hugely credible because they've got vast amounts of experience, what I have found is they were unable to scale for whatever reason. But we generally are unable to scale for a number of different reasons. And one of the biggest reasons why most business owners and leaders are unable to scale is because they have this massive fear of letting go. So I'm going to be addressing today the elephant in the room, because it is a massive elephant in the room. I just want to orchestrate. It is a massive elephant that we've got to address. And so for you guys, I'm going to this video is dedicated for you guys that have that fear of letting go, because it can be kind of scary. And I've experienced it myself, right? I've been a business owner. Well, I started up my first business at the age of 11, as you guys know. And, we all go on those different journeys, those different paths or different journeys, if you like. And we all have our different experiences about where we want to go, but where you want to go isn't how you're going to go about or where you are right now, right? So there's a different pathway. It requires a different mindset and a different skill set, etc. So I really kind of wanted to address that here right with you this second, okay? So for you guys, by the way, if you don't have much time in listening to today's video, me yabbing on, of course, you're very welcome to go over and listen to the Game Changers Experience podcast. Recently, by the way, big win for me. And I didn't really make a big thing of it because I was in the middle of my race, of course. But I celebrated 3 years. It's our 3rd anniversary on the Game Changers Experience podcast. If you haven't subscribed to it, why not? Because it is a great podcast. I'm not going to deny it. Everyone has been very supportive in the podcast over the last 3 years. The top 2% global rankings. And we've got listeners in over 51 countries, which is phenomenal. So if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to our podcast, if you are in the car right now, or you're going to the car and you're going off and doing errands or going to the gym or going to clients or whatever it is, guarantee you don't listen to the radio or the music. Listen to my podcast, The Game Changers Experience. I can guarantee you it'll be worth your time. I will guarantee you that it's phenomenal. So anyway, so wanted to really kind of jam on here with you guys and address this whole kind of how to overcome the fear of letting go, because for me, it is a real problem. Like, this is something that we don't talk about in entrepreneurship and running a business. We talk a lot about, solutions, which is fine. Well, I'm going to give you some solutions. I'm definitely going to be giving you guys some solutions. But a lot of the reasons why you can have the best sales funnel, you can have some amazing clients, you can have the best systems and processes, you can have the best team in the world. But if fear embroils you, if it overtakes you, it's going to really hold you back. And you probably would have heard of this, right? The biggest bottleneck in any business is normally the person that is running the business in the first place, right? So, so that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about today. Want to be big shout out to Mr. Tom Thompson, by the way, who's been a real big fan of the show. So I wanted a big shout out to him, of course. So let's talk a little bit about the fear of letting go, because we're all different personalities. We all have different businesses. We're all on different paths, if you like. Does that make sense? And so we're not here to judge, right? But I'm hopefully going to give you I'm going to give you some insights, not just from my own personal experience, but I'm going to give you 5 useful, what's the word I was looking for? 5 useful pathways that you can really tackle this whole fear of letting go, because it really is a big thing for me. And most of the clients that I end up working with, they're already at capacity, right? But the big problem that holds them back, it's a bit like this. Was Rome built by one person? No, it took a whole army of people to build Rome, right? Think of Olympic athletes, right? The Olympians, right? They have a team of people, right? So you've really got to think to yourself, like, how do people build success? How do the biggest entrepreneurs and business leaders out there, how do they grow their businesses? And it's strictly through not just growing through people, of course, but it is making sure that you can address this massive thing, which is the fear of letting go. So let's get stuck into it. Let's get into it. And for you guys that are listening in, feel free to make any comments in the comment section below, of course. Subscribe, hit that bell notification on my LinkedIn or YouTube channel, of course, and make sure that you plug into the podcast, The Game Changers Experience. So let's hit this on, right? So the first one, in terms of how to overcome the fear of letting go, my first, I suppose, tip, if you like, I'm going to call it a tip for the time being, is how I overcome the fear of letting go is to be able to picture yourself. Now, through the power of visualization. So interestingly enough, I've been practicing visualization from a really young age, and it's helped me to increase my confidence twofold, right? And so for you guys that have never practiced visualization, I endorse you to do so, because the great thing about what sports athletes do in particular is they're very good at envisaging themselves about where they're at right now, where they want to go. All right. So that is really, really important. And even some of the big gurus, Jack Canfield being one of them, is a personal friend of mine, he talks about the power of visualization. And it sounds woo-woo, and trust me, it really isn't. But the best way to visualize is to find a quiet place or a quiet environment where you can start to demystify and get rid of all that fuzziness, if you like, all right? And really get a clear picture about where you're at right now and where you want to be. And that where you want to be, maybe in 5 years or in 10 years or in 20 years or whatever it is, right? You'll have that in your mind. You'll have that where you want to be, okay? Now, when you think of this in terms of visualization, let's just get a clear picture about how to do that. How I visualize is I like to, there are 2 ways in which I visualize. So the first way that I visualize is literally, I love being near water. I don't know what it is about it, but I love being near water. And it helps me to create that clarity. just water gives me energy. I don't know, but water and nature is very important. Or the second way is you can do it through forms of meditation, of course, through visualization. So in terms of like when you start to create this vision, I want you to think about, you know, where you're at right now and where you want to be. So how is your life going to change? Like in your mind, how is it going to change? How are you going to be? Like, how are your habits going to change? What's your routines going to be like? Where are you going to be living? What is your lifestyle? And what is the impact that you want to create? Right. So, so when we think about, like, we're all in the business of helping people, right? I love to help people. You like to help people. I'm sure you do. Um, and it's to really kind of think to yourself in your mind, how does everything change from where you're at right now to where you want to go? Okay. What are the lives you want to impact? What are the goals that you want to accomplish? How is your life going to be different? Okay. And emotionally and spiritually, how are you going to show up? So I think that's the first thing, because again, I found that through visualization, it's really a powerful form. I kid you not, it's a real powerful form about how to overcome fear, because again, you become excited about where so you're thinking about the future, which as a CEO of your own business and of your life, that is exactly, you are creating that. And so, of course, there are other ways in which to do this, but honestly, visualization I found is a really powerful form to be able to take yourself, and displace yourself from the present and put yourself in the future. So that's the first thing. So tip number one is picture where you want to be. All right. Through visualization. That's the first tip. Second tip. Okay. What do you want to become? Okay. What do I mean by that? Okay. Now, I'm not saying you want to become the president of the United States. I'm not saying, the next guru or whatever it might be. But what I'm trying to say to you guys is, what do you want to become as part of the process? How are you going to evolve as part of this process? Because fear and empowerment are polar opposites to each other, okay? So think of who you want to become. I want you to think about the impact, again, on who you wish to become as part of that process, okay? So, when we think of who do you want to become, are there things that you are not achieving right now that you'd like to achieve in the future? So who do you want to become? What is maybe an ideal, might be a role model that you idolize. And it's not that you're trying to copy who they are, because you are your authentic self, of course, but you idolize them because of maybe their achievement or the impact that they're having on other people. So I think this is really important. Is the second one is, who do you want to become as part of the process, right? And how do you want to show up? So really, really super important is, who do you want to become? So that's my second tip. All right. My third tip for you guys is how to listen to your gut instinct. So scenario here. Okay. Really important scenario. When we think of a scenario, we think of normally when you're running a business or whatever it might be, you're making decisions daily, and it doesn't, you're making decisions on a daily basis on your personal life and in your professional life, right? You're making decisions all the time. Okay. And what we tend to do is we tend to think with our head. Okay. So we start to think about logically how it's going to how it's going to create a benefit, or we think with our heart. Okay. But what I would like you to do is, I'd like you to think about how you can listen to your instinct or your gut instinct. All right. Because, if you're faced in a situation, right? I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, because I certainly have, where your head is saying one thing, but your instinct says completely the polar opposite. Does that make sense? And when we think about instinct, there are certain signals, should we say, that we need to look for in terms of, what is it that we need to look for in terms of the signals that we need to look for in terms of our instincts? Like, so what are the things that we need to look for? So when we think of talking, when we think of our gut, and we have this kind of like, oh, does it feel good? You know, is the energy feel right, for example, when we're going with our gut instinct, okay? And again, it might not come to you straight away. You have to really train this. But when you've been facing the situation, is to really think about, does this feel right to you? Okay. Not does it feel right to somebody else? Not that we're influenced by external and internal forces, but to think about, how can we go with our gut instinct when making decisions? Really important. So, for example, if you're in a situation where, I don't know, maybe you're hiring a new team member, right? You may have a small team right now and you want to take on a new team member, right? And you're going through the recruitment process. You're down to the last 3 candidates, okay? Now, I've been in this situation where I've got down to the last 3 candidates for a post, and I'm asking them questions and I'm giving them scenarios, and I'm asking them about what would they do in certain situations. And then I start to get a feel for the person's, not just person's personality, but also I want to I'll get an idea, or maybe you'll get an idea. Maybe you'll get an idea in your gut to see, does this feel right? Yeah. Do I feel this person is going to fit into my culture? Do they see what I see? Do they want to accomplish what I want to accomplish? And can I help this person evolve as well? You know, so it's really important to be able to listen to your gut, to your instincts more than anything else, and to intuitively be curious about that as well. All right. So that is my third take about how to overcome fear of letting go. So that's my third take. The fourth one, which again I feel like is extremely important, is how to learn how to trust people. So I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, but I've been in a situation where, and this has happened to me in the past, I would say more importantly, it's happened to me in the past where especially as when you built up a business from scratch, right? You put your blood, sweat, and tears in. You've done your 80, 100 hours of work a week. You're busy, been a busy mess most of the time, but you're working with clients, you're giving them results, but you're busting yourself. You know, and your relationships start to become fragmented. You don't have much of a personal life, and it becomes not very fun anymore, right? So and I was having a really interesting conversation the other day, and one of the big reasons why a lot of business owners, leaders can't scale is purely because they don't know how to trust people. Because maybe you've experienced in the past, okay, you may have experienced in the past where someone has come in and they weren't who they said they were. So they were inauthentic. They said one thing, but actually when it came to the crunch, they either lied about it, they were dishonest with it, maybe unintentionally, actually. But that is where the trust is then broken because of that disparity. Does that make sense? And you may have been involved in a situation. I've certainly been in situations where that has happened. But the other thing that you have to ask yourself, and this is a really good question you have to ask yourself, is, are there good people out there? That's the question I wish to ask you. Are there good people out there? And the answer is yes. Now, of course, there will be bad apples out there that have their own intentions, that have their own agendas, okay? But there are good people out there. And so then in order to overcome fear, you've got to learn to trust people and give them the benefit of the doubt, because just because you've had a bad experience with one person doesn't mean you're going to have a bad experience with another person, right? That is down to you. So if you put out that bad energy and that bad aura of feeling out there, then guess what? It's going to come back and bite you on the ass, and you're going to start to attract those toxic people in your life. You're going to start to attract those inauthentic people in your life. Do you want that? No, absolutely not. So, and this is again really, really important. You've got to learn to trust people. When I sit down with new team members, for example, I like to find out Really get to know them, become a friend of a friend type of thing. Find out what their needs, goals, and aspirations are. Get them excited. Put a plan together for them and help them to achieve their goals. Because the more, an old quote said, the more that you help people, the more help that you get back in return, and you'll get back 10 times, 10x more if you help more others along the way. I can guarantee that. You've got to give new recruits, new team members, as an example, you've got to give them enough reason for them to not leave you. Okay. So again, really important to think about how to trust people. You've got to learn to trust people as you would with maybe a partner, with whatever it is. Put your past experiences to one side and give people the benefit of the doubt, because one person's experience isn't going to be the same as another person's experience. You've really got to learn to grow about how you can be better as a person and how you can manage the situation differently. Does that make sense? So that is tip number 4. And my last tip, which I feel is actually which I feel is actually a really good way to wrap up today's session, which is to turn fear into empowerment. What do I mean by that? Okay, so like I said, fear is the opposite to empowerment. If I'm empowering you, so for example, through this video right now, through the content that I'm creating, I'm empowering you to disrupt the status quo. I'm asking you to question your subconscious. So I'm empowering you to make some different choices, right? Well, I hope so anyway. Whereas fear is completely opposite. Fear it allows you to stay in the past, whereas empowerment is more towards thinking in the future. Okay, so if you turn fear into empowerment, you will become a much better person, but also you'll become more happier and fulfilled along the way. Now, if you empower yourself, you empower others, because leaders lead, right? They lead, and you are your own role models at the end of the day. Okay, so if you've never been in a situation where you want to empower others, well, think about how others may have empowered you in the past. What experience have you encouraged? And it might have been through a mentor. It might have been through it might have been, it might have been through a friend of yours that have empowered you to do something, that has empowered you to get out of your comfort zone, that has empowered you to do something extraordinary that you might not be used to. So I want you to turn your fear into empowerment. How can we do this? How can you do this? All right. Because again, I feel like that's going to be the difference between where you want to go, where you are right now, to where you want to go in the future. So I hope that kind of helps. Anyway, honestly, I'm really enjoying myself being here with you guys. I really am. If you are listening to me live, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay, of course. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to use the comments in the comment section below, of course. Follow me over on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Okay, subscribe, hit that bell notification top right hand corner, so that you don't miss out on any great content and any events that we got coming up, etc., etc. So let's wrap up today's session, because lots of things I've actually managed to get through today, which I'm really excited about. So 5 tips about how to overcome fear. So the first one we talked a little bit about was picture where you want to be. So I want you to think in the future. So the goal of a CEO is to think in the future rather than in the past or in the present. Okay, because all of that emotional baggage and all just baggage in general is going to hold you back. All right, so that's the thing, is picture yourself where you want to be. Secondly, what do you become? So who do you want to evolve? Who do you want to evolve into, and what sort of impact you want to create? Okay, so that's the second part of this. The third part is I was teaching you guys about how to listen to your gut instinct, or how to go along with your gut instinct, rather than think logically with your head or emotionally with your heart, is to think about how to train yourself about how you can trust your gut instinct more than anything else. Because when I trust my gut instinct, everything is a little bit like a domino effect. it falls into play a lot easier. So that was my third one. My fourth one was learn how to trust people. And trust has to be earned over time. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can't just expect like one day or even in a week. Trust takes time, especially if you've had a bad experience or you've trusted someone in the past and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, or maybe you had an expectation. All right. Trust has to be earned. Okay. And again, it's about managing expectations between you and the other person, for example. So it's really important to trust others. And my last one is to turn fear into empowerment. Because if you turn fear into empowerment, you become a better person. You evolve over time. And when you empower yourself, you empower others. Because like as I said to you, leaders lead from the front. Okay. Really super important to remember that. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed today's Game Changer show. I've thoroughly enjoyed being here. As you can tell, my energy is quite infectious, especially when I'm in the zone. I'm gonna be sharing some more great and videos here, actually over on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Facebook, of course. Gonna be talking more about what's holding you guys back in terms of scaling your business, of course. And I'm going to give you some strategies and some insights and some stories as well that you can take away with and learn from that and put into your own businesses and journeys as well. We're all on different journeys at the end of the day, right? Anyway, thank you so much for listening in. I hope to hear from some of you soon, of course. And by the way, just before you guys go, if you haven't already taken part and you'd like to know more about how you can scale your business, but you're just not sure about where you need to be at, what I would highly endorse you do is head on over to the business growth quiz right now. And if you're looking for some direction and some clarity, then I would endorse you guys to head over to howtogrowbusiness.scoreup.com and get your free report. And it will show you, share some insights about what's going well for you. What are the improvements that you can make? We all can make improvements, when you agree. So make sure you head on over to that. It's howtogrowbusiness.scoreup.com. So check that out and hope you've enjoyed today's video. Head over to the podcast Game Changers Experience. Of course, Amazon Music, Apple, Google, whichever your favorite podcast platform is. Love to hear from you guys in terms of feedback as well. So listen, enough from me. Hope to see you back here again sometime this week, I'm hoping. But love to hear from you guys. Anyway, have an amazing week, month, whenever you listen to this, and hopefully you'll speak to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye-bye.